So recently I filmed a video of me playing my track SO2 CO live in this room, and I want to show you how I managed to get the sound quality from this
SO2 CO
to this.
SO2 SO2.
Okay, so this video is more for people like me who are new at recording live for YouTube. I've never done it before, so this channel is not an educational channel. It's just me sharing my music and sharing my journey. So I thought it'd be interesting to share how I managed to get my music from sounding rough and ready, just recorded on an iPhone, to into my computer, and with a little bit of processing added afterwards. Okay, I'll show you my gear. Okay, so in the video I was recording my Les Paul into my pedal board through my Roland Cube, and you can see here I've got a mic connected up there to record the output from the mic, from the amp, sorry, and that goes into my interface over here. The other thing that was going on in the video, I was playing a beat on my Electron Digitakt, and the Electron Digitakt was also controlling a bass line on my Arteria polybrute. For the vocals, I had a Shure SM57 mic, and then I had a Rode mic, NT1A, as a room mic to try and capture some ambience and make it feel more live. As well as my Focusrite interface, I have a Mackie mixer here, and also under here I was sending some vocals for an effects send on my Mackie mixer to the Chaos pad, just to get a bit of reverb. So I wanted to have a bit of control over the mix once it was recorded. So I didn't want to record it as just one stereo or mono input. As you can tell, it's first thing in the morning. I'm not very good at doing these videos, but anyway. So I didn't want it to be one track. I wanted to record each instrument and the vocals all individually, and I did that because my Focusrite has 4 inputs, 1, 2, 2 on the front, 2 on the back. The problem was I was recording the polybrute synth, which is a stereo input. I was recording the Digitakt, which can be a stereo input. I was recording 2 mics and the guitar. So technically, 1, 2, 2 mics, guitar, 2 inputs from the polybrute, 2 inputs from the Digitakt. That's seven potential inputs I needed, which I don't have. I only have 4 inputs on the Focusrite. Obviously I can send all my instruments to my Mackie mixer and then record from the Mackie mixer into my Focusrite into the computer, but that doesn't allow me the flexibility to record the tracks individually because it's not a USB interface mixer, it's just a standard cheap mixer. Okay, so what was the workaround? Well, the first thing I had to do is I had to make a decision about where I was going to make compromises. And one of the first compromises I could make was I could do a mono out of the polybrute and a mono out of the Digitakt, which would take it down to, what did I say, 7? So down to 5 inputs. Okay, still got a problem there because I still only have 4 inputs on the Focusrite. Luckily enough, for anybody who owns a Digitakt, you'll know that on the back of the Digitakt you have 2 inputs, because obviously it's a sampler as well as a drum machine. So you can plug in an instrument into those inputs and either record or send that signal through the Digitakt and then into my interface. So let me show you the wiring. It is a bit of a mess. Hopefully I can make it obvious what's going on. Okay, so on the back of the Digitakt here you can see left and right outputs, left and right inputs. Okay, so, and also MIDI in and out, which is important for playing the polybrute. Okay, so the polybrute has, I have an output here for the MIDI going to my polybrute. I also have an output MIDI from the polybrute going back into the Digitakt, so I can play the polybrute and that will control the sequencer on the Digitakt. Anyway, moving on to the part about the audio routing. Polybrute is wired into my Digitakt via the left mono input. You'll see here that I've got two outputs on the coming out of the Digitakt. One of those is going to my Mackie mixer for monitoring when I'm playing, and the other one, the left one, is going into the back of my Focusrite. So by doing that, I have managed to reduce two instruments down to one input on the Focusrite. Obviously that did restrict post-production potential because the beats and the bass were one track, but that was fine by me. So on the front of the Focusrite here I have my room mic. I have another mic, which is the mic from my amp. Okay, I decided to record my guitar through my amp rather than directly into the interface, because I found recording directly into the interface didn't give me that kind of live sounds or the same sound I was experiencing in the room whilst I was playing, and I preferred the sound coming out of the amp. And then the remaining input on the back here is coming from my control room out on my Mackie mixer. Okay, so what's going into the Mackie mixer? On the back, here's a lot of cables, but on the back here is an XLR coming from my Shure 57, which is what I was recording my vocals on to, going into there. And then on that channel, I'm sending an aux send. And the aux send is going in this direction to my Chaos pad, so I can get a bit of reverb on the vocals, and then obviously the stereo out from the Chaos pad is coming back to my stereo return on the Mackie mixer. Okay, and then on the channel where the vocals coming through, I press Rude Solo, and that sends that channel through my control room submix out of that cable into the back of the Focusrite. Okay, so the saving grace in this situation was having the Digitakt, because I've got limited inputs. You know, I could have made a sacrifice and not had the room mic, but I found that when I recorded everything without a room mic, it just felt a bit too clinical. I wanted to try and capture the essence of the room. Not that it's a great room, but I just wanted to feel live, like you were watching something and you felt like you're more in the room rather than that had gone through a whole studio. Although lots of post-production did happen. I say lots, I spent about half an hour. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you in Logic what I did for the post-production. Okay, as you can see, this is not a well-produced educational video. This is just me sharing my journey. So at the moment, I just have my camera on a tripod facing on my computer screen. I'm sure there's a much better way of doing this. I'm sure I can do screen capture and all of that, but at the moment, it's first thing in the morning. I've only had one cup of tea, and I've got things I want to get on with, like making more music. So let's just have a look at the screen and see how we got on. Okay, I've just had to get downstairs and make myself another cup of tea, because in my rough and ready approach to making a YouTube video, I turned my computer on and not turned on the audio interface, and I was trying to demonstrate how to create more than create 4 inputs, but I didn't have the 4 inputs because my interface wasn't turned on. Anyway, let's try again, round 2. So here I've got an empty project. Top, create a new track, mic/line, set up mic 1, input 1, create, and oh shit, let's just open the project, and then we name it. So that input 1 was the room mic. Line 2, input 2, create, and input 2 was my guitar mic. Input 3 was the Digitakt and the synth. And synth. Input 4, create, and that was my vocal mic, which was going through the mixer and the Chaos pad into the computer. So I've got all my mic set, my channel set up. I've wired everything up as I demonstrated, and then obviously you arm the tracks to record, and when you're ready, press record. If you've got a camera in the room, obviously you will do, stand in front of the camera, do a clap. You can see the clap, hear the clap on the camera, you can hear the clap in the audio that you're recording, and then do a test run. So here's the actual track that I created. Okay, so it probably sounds rough and ready coming through the camera. I did 3 takes, made sure there's a clear divide between them, and eventually went with take 3. So on the room mic, I've done a bit of EQing. Those Rode mics pick up a lot of bass, taking out a bit of a cut in the boomy areas. I added some compression, only a bit of compression, just to smooth it all out. Nothing really scientific there. And then I added some spread on the room mic, which added a lot of width to that particular element. And then on the guitar mic here, again EQ'd out all the bass and the boom, bit of compression, French guitar compression. And then I used this new plugin that I got free in the new year from Waves, this dynamic EQ/compressor, and just took one of the presets here. Digitakt and synth, bit of EQ there, took out a bit of the boom, and then I added some drum room crusher, this Magma plugin, which I really enjoy. The vocal mic, EQ as usual. Used the vocal rider to get the volume a bit more consistent, because obviously there's a lot of moving to and fro from the mic when you're singing live. You don't have as much control over the volume. And then a few layers of compression. Yeah, 3 layers of compression there. Okay, looks like I used a bit of dynamic EQ to take out any sibilance. Use this fresh air saturation plugin. So it's Slate Digital. And then final touch, a bit more of this dynamic EQ thing. So it's called Intelligent Dynamics by Waves. Okay, so that's most of the processing, but I did send a bus to parallel compress the drums and the bass. So again, did my EQ, it all through this SLS compressor on the pumping setting. And then finally on the output channel, just to kind of try and blend things together a bit more, I put a very small amount of, I play it, a very small amount of compression, a very slow attack, mid-range release, ratio of 4, bit of analog on there. Okay, so that's what I did for the mix. I wasn't trying to aim for perfect. I watched a video recently about releasing your music and that you shouldn't overthink things. Easier said than done. The process took me about 2 or 3 days to work it all out and get it right. Finally, I created a master. So I bounced out the outcome from that and I put it into my mastering chain. And on my mastering chain, I have Abbey Road mastering plugin, another SSL compressor, Waves, max volume, Waves, X noise, because there was background noise, which was not very nice. This Loud Max limiter, and then just a Logic additive limiter. So I put it through all of those to taste. Okay, not perfect in any way whatsoever, but you know, this is a YouTube video that probably not many people are going to watch. So what's the point of spending hours and hours and hours, or even, you know, ridiculous amounts of time? I mean, the most amount of time was basically learning how to do it and figuring out how to do it. And I've done that, and I have to be honest, I think the sound quality, if you watch the video, is 10 times better than it was originally when I recorded it just on my iPhone, like I am now.
SO2.
Okay, so once I bounced down my master, if you like, if you want to call it a master, I put that into iMovie. I lined up the claps that I did at the beginning on the camera and on the audio. Added some title slides and so on. I did decide to record on a different camera. I decided to record on this Canon instead of the iPhone, because I found with the iPhone, even though they do, you know, have really good megapixels and are really good quality these days, it seems to pick up at night a lot of, you get a lot of noise on the video in low lights. And even though this wasn't immune to a bit of noise in low lights, the one thing I could do with this is I could actually adjust the ISO to let in more light, and so I didn't have to have like spotlights in my face throughout the whole performance, and it was much more, I think it was a much nicer shot from this than it was on the iPhone. In future, I'm planning on recording a track which is going to have more instruments, and so what I'm now going to do is I'm also going to have my Virus synthesizer playing a bass line, as well as the Polybrute playing something else, controlled by the Digitakt. And so I'm going to be making the most of that other input, because I've only used the left input on the Digitakt at the moment, and I could potentially send a mono out from the Virus into the right input on the Digitakt, and then when I record the mono output from the Digitakt, that will have the drum, that Polybrute, and the bass from the Virus, which isn't ideal, but it's one way of getting all three of those elements into the computer. The other option is I sacrifice the room mic, don't record myself with a room mic, and that will give me one more input which I could potentially do in mono out from the virus. Anyway, so it just goes to show you that, I mean, I wouldn't say I've got limited gear. I do have gear. I've spent an awful lot of money over the years, but I don't have huge amounts like some people do. But with limited inputs into my computer, I've managed to record 5 different things. And so yeah, this is not an educational video. This is me sharing my journey. Hopefully you found it interesting, if you made it this far. Please like and subscribe. I will be sharing music videos that I've created in iMovie for my music, and more live performances, and hopefully as I get on, these performances will get better and more polished, and the recordings will be more to people's liking. Okay, I'm Tempered Truth. Thank you very much.